Welcome to the Bold Money Revolution podcast. This is your source for straight talking, no fluff, business and high performance conversations that add real depth and value to the way bold leaders live, work, and thrive. I'm your host, Tara Newman. I'm here to show you how to optimize your performance as a leader so that you can grow a business that is profit-rich, efficient, and allows you to generate real, tangible wealth for yourself and others. We are here to help you lead with your values, to perform without overwhelm and burnout, and to do your most important work in the world. Trying to figure out how you're feeling about your business right now? If so, you're not alone. Is your relationship status set to "it's complicated"? But also very unwilling to go back and get that 9 to 5 because you're watching your colleagues drown in a sea of boundaryless work hours with a complete lack of autonomy. And if you haven't noticed lately, the American workforce has had it. So let's make sure if you're considering getting a job, it's because it's an intentional choice and not because you're feeling like you've overcomplicated this small business thing. If you're not paying yourself properly, you're constantly in a state of worry about revenue, and you feel like somehow you're failing at this online business thing because it seems like everyone else around you is printing money, listen up. This is for you. You are an expert, and it's time that you get paid like one. Welcome to the Bold Profit Academy, the only system your business needs to get you paid like the expert you are. We are focused on 4 core areas you really need to build a sustainable business and not work all the time. We're talking easy on your energy. We will teach you. Here are the things, the 4 things we're going to teach you. We're going to teach you how to create a gold star lead generation process so that you're always able to find leads that want to talk to you and become paying clients. Understand buyer psychology, why people buy. What do they actually need so you can clearly communicate what differentiates you in the noisy marketplace? Align your sales process with your values and strengths so you gain confidence, the confidence you need to create predictable revenue. Understand how money works so you can profit in any economy year over year. I'm Tara Newman, and I am a business growth strategist, Profit First certified consultant, high performance coach, investor, and long-term wealth building money nerd. After over 25 years in business, working both for large organizations and building my own, I'm supporting small business owners to make the targeted shifts that allow them to turn their businesses into wealth creation machines. You have paid your dues and then some, I'm sure of it. So now it's time to secure your financial independence. To check out the Bold Profit Academy and get onto the waitlist to join, go to theboldleadershiprevolution.com/academy, and maybe you'll be one of the many women celebrating their successes on our next Friday call. Hey everyone, it is Tara Newman, and I'm excited to be here today. We are doing a special series, a case study series on the women who are in the Bold Profit Academy. And we are doing this to bring you the real, tangible, not fluffed over, not glitz and glamored results that real experts like you who are listening or watching this now are really interested in getting. And some of these results are going to be really amazing, big results, and some of them might seem a little smaller, but they are all valuable and important on your journey as a small business owner. And I'm excited to have with me today, Sarah Bronstein. Sarah, welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
And Sarah, tell everybody what you do.
So I own a interior design business called Suka Interior Design, and I focus on small spaces, tiny houses, and intentional living.
I love it. You know how excited I am about this.
Yeah, we've picked that together.
Sarah gets all my small space enthusiasm for her business. And why did you, I'm just curious because I'm really fascinated for women to understand why they wanted to start a business. Because I think in the online space, we see a lot of 7-figure, be a 7-figure business owner, be an 8-figure business owner. And when I actually speak to real women, it's not that that's what they wanted. It's something different. So what was your inspiration? What aspirations do you have? Why did you want to be self-employed?
I think originally it was something that I was good at and enjoyed doing. But as like in hindsight, I think there were underlying things as I kind of grew up a little bit and paid more attention. I think I'm very fascinated with the impact our environment has on us and what an insane difference that makes on your ability to really do anything. But my focus is really just like the day-to-day living, working, how much better it can be. And seeing that transformation with people, that fulfillment, and seeing, being able to share that with others and bring that to them is what drives me.
Yeah. Making a contribution.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I hear a lot from women making a contribution, doing their most important work, doing work that they feel proud of.
Yeah.
And doing it on their own terms.
Exactly. Yeah. I've worked for a few big companies, and the reality is in most jobs, I guess not all companies, but from my experience, you're more or less disposable despite what they want to say. And I think, my parents were all like, oh no, that's the safe, secure job, is to work for someone else and have these things. But I think that that's changed in my generation, especially, and continues to, where I think it's flipped. They can pull the rug out at any time. Whereas when you work for yourself, you get to decide when things slow down, when to pick things up, how to handle, life, pandemics or whatever, how you want to show up. And I think I also just really wanted that to have that voice and that control of like how my company that I work for shows up in the world, which I didn't have working for bigger companies.
Yeah, I can really identify with that. I mean, I don't think it was ever a secure and safe situation to necessarily put all your eggs working for somebody else where you didn't have any line of sight on the actual financials and what was happening in the company. I'm a former HR person, so I can speak to that from the other side of the table. And what's interesting is I think that for better, what I'm hearing you say is for better or for worse, I'm in charge.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like that. I feel the same way. Okay. So when we first started talking, which was actually very recently, you are one of our newer joiners, which is actually cool to have you sharing your perspective, which is very early on in the program. And I'm excited to have that perspective here. So when you were first thinking about joining, what was happening for you where you were like, I think I need support, or I think I want support?
Yeah. So I would say I've in the last year done a lot of like therapeutic work. It's been a pretty transformative year in that way for me already. And I think because of that, I was reaching a point. I had been working for a company, like having a 9-to-5, and had been laid off during the pandemic and had started my business, and then, kind of been juggling a few projects here and there when I went back to work for them, and was feeling just in the last few months very much like I need to get out of here. I would say when I went back to work for them, it's not like I was like, this is the forever company. I already kind of knew what they were capable of and was like, whatever. I was renovating my tiny house at the time and was just like, you know what, I'll take the steady income and the health insurance. But was feeling lately more and more just like, I can't do this anymore. And
it's time.
It's time. Yeah.
Exactly. I think a lot of women can really relate to that feeling right now. There's like this low grade pressure in our bodies, even that is saying like, hey, this is our time. It's our time now.
Yeah, exactly. I think the last year and moving into the tiny house finally and actually doing it, I think the things that weren't aligned in my life started feeling a lot more challenging than they had before when I was kind of a mess. So yeah, I think, it just became more and more kind of wore me down day to day. Yeah, I was like, I'm ready to take action. I had invested in a business coach before once when I first started my business. And a lot of that was just to like decide if I'm an LLC. And I did kind of her like, starting thing. And it was specific to interior designers. But I have realized since then, which was 2 years ago or almost 3 years ago, that the traditional interior design business model isn't what I want. And I just started, I've never considered myself, to be strong in finance or anything like that. I'm pretty bad at math, and just started really connecting to a couple podcasts. Yours was one of them. And I don't know what it was, but just decided like, you know what, fuck it, let's do this, and signed up.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, so what was it? Because like, obviously the internet's a noisy space and there's lots of different programs out there. So what was there something that particularly drew you to this program to get on a call with me? Because we did have a call.
We did. Yeah. We did a little DMing. I think it was just like, I should say, I was kind of already bought into profit first, and that might be how I kind of originally found you. So I already had that going. And I don't know, for me, it felt like I identified that part of my issue was like, I don't know, even if I was super successful, I wouldn't know how to do, not like you do super well. And then you're like, oh shit, I don't know what I'm doing. Or,
yeah. So you would have some beginning success and then not be really sure what to do with the money that you received and like how to kind of advance that down the line.
Yeah. Although I think I also wouldn't really let myself think about success necessarily. Like that's been a whole other thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think even if I got myself past there, I think subconsciously it was like, you wouldn't know what to do anyway, so shut it down.
I got you. Yeah. Okay. All right. And so we had a call. We did the revenue goal calculator assessment call. And you actually had a takeaway on that call. What was your big takeaway on that call?
So you suggested a significant boost in the system. I had already, the business model, which I do a paid consultation to kind of get the project basics out there, which is what I would do in any project anyway. So I kind of separated that off, and you were like, that's great, but you need to significantly boost that. And I really appreciated and noted that you immediately asked, like, how does that make you feel? How do you feel about that? Because I don't know, that's not something that I'd really been asked before. And I was like, I think I feel good. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I feel good, I think.
Yeah. So on that call, we talked about the difference between pricing things hourly and really helping you see the value in what you're doing. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you raised that price almost 10%.
More than that.
Okay. Oh yeah. More than that. You definitely.
Way more. It was significant.
You 10x'd that.
Yeah. We added a digit.
Yes. Okay. And you sold it at that price.
Yep. And I remember you saying it's just as easy to sell it at this as it is for that. And another thing that, I remember noting this when I first started my business, but somehow along the way I lost it, but you brought it back, is that you were like, you didn't change. You're not changing industries. If you're a new business, that's one thing, but you're not a new interior designer. You have all this experience. I was like, yeah, I do.
Yes. Yeah. Ladies, please. We do this. This is such a thing where people start their businesses and then they come online, and I don't know what happens, but they think they're experts, but then they think they're new, and it gets all short-circuited in their head. So, okay, great. So you right off the bat on that short call, you increased your price point. We chatted a little bit more in DMs, and then you joined us. Yeah. What, if anything, was like, did you have any concerns before joining us? I think people get really stuck in inertia and they can hesitate. Did you have any of those hesitations?
I think if the expression's like boiling the water to get, to when someone's ready to buy, like I was pretty boiled at that point. So I think I was like pretty ready. Mm-hmm. I had a few questions just about like pricing, and you actually gave me a few options, and, I really connected and noted and appreciated how not pushy it was at all. It was like, I respect wherever you're at. Here's different ways I can help you at whatever point you're at. Mm-hmm. And I actually went with the group one anyway, even though there were some like kind of piecemeal or a la carte ways to do it for less, because I don't know. I just felt like I wanted, if it fails, I want to know that I did everything.
Yes.
I went 100% in. So I just kind of knew, I was like, nope, if I'm doing it at all, I'm doing all of it. So I went all in.
Yeah, actually, I want to just touch on that for a second, because we do have people who go through the program and they come back to me and they say, thank you. Like, I'm not going to be going forward with having a business. Right. And like the price of the program to identify that to me is worth it.
Yeah.
Instead of continuing to go and trying to piecemeal things together and wasting all this time and energy and money, I'll be very bold and say, if you can't find success in our program, okay, fine. Maybe it's not the right personality fit, but it's all the things that you actually need to do to make money. So it's a pretty good gauge of whether or not we don't do any fluff. We don't do the bullshit. We are do this, right?
Yeah. I think you have to be ready for it to work.
Yeah.
I would say that no one's doing the work for you, but that's true in anything, whether they're transparent about it or not.
Right. So, all right. You come into the program, and how long have you been in there? 60 days. I don't think you've been in there more than 60 days.
No, I think maybe 6 weeks.
Okay, cool. Perfect.
Maybe
so and I do want to say the one thing that really stood out for me about you when we initially spoke was you were really looking for consistency.
Mm-hmm.
You knew that if you had consistent steps to take and you had a structure, that was just something that really came very profoundly for you, that you would be successful. If you could consistency, accountability to a structure and to that consistency, you were going to succeed. And I really appreciate that about you because it's unique. I mean, I don't think that I'm not sure how many people have that level of awareness or are willing to invest for that reason. And I think it's really paid off already.
I would say, yeah, it's pretty, how things shake out. It's been pretty amazing. I'm like, wow, the timing of everything just feels so aligned. And that's what I think, made me pull the trigger, was everything just felt aligned. I didn't feel pressured. It just felt right. And in therapy and just in life decisions, I've been trying to act from a place of I'm a projector in human design. So I'm very picking up everyone else's opinions, especially my parents or people that are big in my life, and just trying to shut that out, only ask for advice if I really, really need it. Or from people that aren't, going to have that power to change mine, and just really feel into my gut and does this feel aligned for me and where I want to go, and act from that place. And so when I, even signed with you, it was not from a place of, I can afford this, no problem. So it was nope, can't really, but I will if I become successful and I'm ready to take that jump. And having the space to be able to be this feels aligned for me and it's not coming from anywhere else. That's a
huge hesitation for people that I hear often around, I don't have the money to invest in this, but I know I need you to help me get the money to invest in this. And I'm like, that is the Chinese finger thing from the carnival when we were kids.
Yes.
It's how do you do that? That doesn't work. So what was a big breakthrough for you in the last 60 days, aside from that pricing conversation that we had that wasn't even a part of the program?
Well, I would say I could feel just the confidence in this is going to work out building, that I can do this. I have slowly been just putting I can be very, I think it's a designer thing, but very perfectionist. And I think that I know that has slowed me down and is slowing me down. Trying to nitpick content and just forever and never actually, it's okay, you haven't posted on Instagram for 2 months because you've been working on this one post that no one's really gonna. So just making myself get on stories and just, I think having the community and seeing how you guys show up on stories, and it doesn't have to be a big thing. So I saw that, but I would say in the last week, there's been tremendous life changes. I was unexpectedly let go from the 9 to 5. I kind of, even though I was actively trying to leave, was still kind of game planning that income for the next little while. And that happened literally hours after I sold my first consultation at our very increased price. And it wasn't, that necessarily. It was more the timing and being able, the reaction to that news. Historically, I would have panicked and probably been on LinkedIn immediately looking for a new gig and just feeling really down on myself, internalizing, even though it was 5% of the company, it wasn't just me. Still, somehow that would be I did something. But instead of all that, it was thank God I got this. Thank God I did what I did when I did, because I'm at least here. And I put some boundaries down, with my family, straight up, I'm not looking for a job. I do not want you to suggest anything because I'm not looking. And I took it as a point of the universe being it is time for you to give it your all. This is for you to go all in on your business. Even, when I started it and it was kind of my full-time thing for most of the pandemic, even then it was I had little streaks, but I don't know that I felt I took it. It still kind of felt like it's going to be until I get something else.
Mm-hmm.
And then it will be a nice side hustle. Whereas now it's no, I'm never working for someone else again. That's the reality.
And where do you think, so you said there's a confidence here now, right?
Yes.
And I know that some of that is absolutely the work that you've been doing on your own, but where do you think that confidence is coming, and how has the Bold Profit Academy played into that at all, if at all?
I think it's been coming, I journal every day. I've put some things in place in the last 6 months, that I do every day, mm-hmm. that I think have paid off, that I know in the Bold Profit Academy, journaling and affirmations, that's worked really well for me. Mm-hmm. I think, I'm also affirmations can be kind of woo-woo, but I think finding the ones that you're yeah, I am that, or whatever it might connect. I think it's different for each of us, but writing those every day for now, probably the last 6 months has definitely, it's true. You'll start believing it eventually. Mm-hmm. And I would say the community, I've tried to come in and just put myself out there and not be scared. Cause I'm I want my money's worth. I want to do all the right things. And I know that getting feedback from peers isn't always the easiest. And so I've just tried to jump into that. And I think that's actually been a confidence builder, because I think things are at a lower point or need more work than a lot of other people do. And the response is good. And it's okay, whatever. And I think it's also just seeing that you're not alone in things, that even people who are, further along than you think you are, still, it's all just, kind of the same struggles at different points.
I do want to be clear. These are not women who will blow it up your ass, though. They will tell you.
Oh, no, that's the thing. No, it's not that's the thing. It's not I'm in a couple of designer Facebook groups, and it's not getting likes or hearts or whatever. It's real feedback, why they like it. No one's just oh, it's great. They're I like this because this is so helpful to me, or whatever.
Yeah, they're really invested in supporting each other. And we're really invested in supporting all of you. And,
yes,
I think that you came in and you've been coming to almost all the calls I think I've seen you on. You absolutely have been open and asking for feedback and not letting yourself get stuck. And I think that is so important, because that happens to all of us. I don't think it's a designer thing that you're perfection-y. We all can be we care about our work, right? And we want to make sure that we're putting our best foot forward, and there's fear involved, and it's raw and vulnerable. And so, I think that that's how we self-protect. It's not ready yet. But one of the calls that I loved having with you was on the new member orientation call. And you're a projector, right? Like I totally understand that. But so many women get stuck in, I don't want to be like them. I don't want to market or sell like them. And I think on that new member orientation call, correct me if I'm wrong, where you were brainstorming with Joe and I, there was kind of like a shift for you in seeing how you could create an opt-in, how you could create content in a way that worked for you and felt aligned for your values.
Yeah, I think we've talked a lot. I know this is like has been a struggle, but niching. And I think that's been like, yeah, had really thrown me like, but if I'm only talking to these people, like what, how, I just don't want to exclude anyone. I want to help everyone with their space, especially at least through this offer that your groups helped me create that I think is so valuable. And yeah, it was really helpful. I think you said something like along the lines of like, I market to women, but if a man wants to work with me, I'll work with him. And I was like, yeah. And yeah, I think it just kind of clicked like, oh yeah, okay. And also that I don't have to be so, maybe I speak more generally in some of the messaging and in some of it, it's more specific. Like it doesn't have to be such a like, oh, am I doing it right? Like what's right?
Oh yeah. Right. Yeah. There's freedom here and room that when you understand what we're trying to do, right? We put the framework around it that we're trying to find people who are underserved, who have an unmet need. Yeah. And we also kind of extrapolated it out to say, okay, well, what's the common theme? What's the common emotion? What's the common desire that they're looking for? So you can speak to maybe a broader audience, but you're really speaking specifically to a core desire that they have for their space or a specific outcome that they're looking for, and that you're not feeling like you're so boxed in. And then you went and created this opt-in and you've got this program, the service now, you're creating proposals.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think what tangible outcomes, because we've had like a number of like perspective shifts, and that's the big goal going through the first 90 days of the program. We have that getting started. We have those money magic lessons, and we're really hoping that you are well on your way to earning back the investment within those first 30, 60, 90 days.
Which I did. Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Earn back the investment. Now everything on top of that.
Well, at least for, like the first 3 months. Yeah.
Yep.
I've earned that back already.
Okay. Awesome. Right. And so when you come in and you do that, how do you feel when you start seeing the revenue coming in almost immediately?
Like, good for me. Why didn't I think I could do this before? Like, why didn't I do this sooner?
Yeah, we want every woman. That is the goal, is that we want every woman within the first 30 days to go, I can do this.
Yeah, I think the tangible thing for me that was definitely within the first 30 days was I could in the moment be like, oh, I'm acknowledging the opportunity or the blessing here, as opposed to like, we're so wired to just find that evidence that we suck or that you can't do it. And we're really, really good at finding that evidence.
We don't really let that happen.
Yeah.
We celebrate every week. People are getting a result and an outcome, and we're sharing it and we're talking about it. Right.
Yeah. And I think seeing that and like being like, okay, no matter how crappy your week, everyone's had a win of some sort, even if it's just getting through that week. So like, but not usually you don't slow down or have that conversation to even think about that on a weekly basis. So I think you talk about it a lot, but it's like building those habits, doing things monthly, weekly, whatever it is. But yeah, the wins are super inspiring. And
so they inspire me.
Yeah, it's great.
They inspire me. I mean, and we really try and highlight what good looks like, because I don't think, listen, sometimes it is a slog. Like you're in the weeds and you can't always like lift yourself up and say, oh, that's what a win looks like. Or, oh, I can see how that's going to pay off later down the line. I just need to keep going, right? I just need to keep putting one foot in front of the other. And we try and really highlight what good looks like, how that leads to larger success down the line. You know, what are those leading indicators of success, because revenue and things like that are lagging indicators of success. Mm-hmm. Now, what other tangible outcomes or support have you had in the last 60 days that has really been beneficial to you?
I mean, the opt-in, I got feedback on like I've had a mailing list for 2 or 3 years now that I've literally never sent an email through.
Right. You sent your first like direct sales email. That's right. That's right.
Probably spooked a lot of people. I'm here. Remember me?
And you were so supported in sending that email.
Yeah. But you know, the feedback, what I appreciate for good feedback or bad feedback that I think is lacking in like, you know, other settings like social media groups or whatever is the reason, because that's how you know it's real. So it's like someone slapping a heart on your whatever, it only means so much, but hearing like, I really connected to this
because of this.
It's like, right. Oh, now I know exactly what people like. It's like, yeah, okay. And I've had really helpful feedback the other way too. Like, this feels clunky to me. Can the text be broken up? Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. You have been doing such a great job at allowing for people to support you and for getting that support. Right now in the group, you and I are working through a proposal that you have coming up.
Yeah.
We're working through some big numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm a little bit aware of like, okay, this is you in your this is the old protection. Like, no, you can't do that. Like, so there's like, you know, I can kind of see some of it's fear-based, but I'm grateful and lucky. And again, the timing's just so perfect to have support where I can go somewhere and hear from other people or you, like, what, you know, am I approaching this right? You know, because it's harder to price things without just doing what everyone else is doing that you think you should be at, you know, and kind of these metrics that aren't really don't credit your experience and expertise. And, you know, yeah, I'm just grateful to have someone to walk me through, especially I'm sure with like, as I start thinking more this way, it will be easier and easier to price things out more quickly than the process I was using before. But I'm so happy to have support on this one to really make sure I'm, you know, doing what's right. I don't want to go to, you know, oversell things. That's not the point. But I also, want to make sure I'm not limiting myself because
undervaluing yourself and undervaluing the result that you help people achieve.
Yeah, because, you know, fear of, I know they can't afford it. And it's like, why none of the cues have been that that's true. So why are you trying to, and it's protecting yourself, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is your favorite part of the program?
Ooh, I would say either the group, like chat thing, or I like the calls a lot too. And now I won't have to hop off because I have other meetings for another job.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So the community is hopping.
Yeah.
It's a good community of people.
Community. Yeah. Because it's really, or for me anyway, and I think for a lot of people that work from home, it's just kind of hard to create that for yourself sometimes. And I, you know, connected with somebody and had like a little coffee chat on Zoom, and
they're literally the best women.
They're so supportive and interesting. And I was going to say, you know, the first time I hired a business coach, I hired someone specific to interior design. And this time I connected more to like this program because that's, I don't run my business like a traditional interior design model with markups and that kind of stuff. But when I joined, you're like, you're the only interior designer. And I was kind of like, oh, good.
I'm like, you're going to be famous.
Yeah. I was like, is that going to be helpful? Like to have no other designer perspectives. But I actually, from being in, I'm still in that coach's Facebook group, which is super helpful to hear other designers and stuff like that. Because again, my business model is just so different. It's been really nice to get the perspective of someone who isn't a designer. And
I was going to say, who's your actual audience?
Exactly.
Not a designer.
Yes, the feedbacks, and it's such different feedback, but I'm so much more useful in a lot of ways. So yeah, that turned out to be a nice twist because I was like a little bit at first, like, okay, I'm the only one.
And who do you think would be a good fit for the program? What do you think people need to? I tell people all the time, and I think I'm very transparent and very honest about, what it takes to be successful in the program, or who you need to be successful in the program, or have it work for you. But I would just love to hear from you because, first of all, you're just in the program. You're not me. Like, how do people know they'll be successful in this program?
I would say, so we all come from different trauma and we're all at different places with ourselves. I know for me, I don't think I would have been ready to even make the investment in myself, which was the first step, without kind of working through some stuff in therapy with like self-worth, because that is a lot of what was holding me back in the end. And still is, like, still work in progress here. But I think having worked through at least a little bit of that, or at least being aware of it in yourself, I had just become aware of like how much of the money stuff was from my parents and stuff I wasn't even aware that I never actually made the decision that I agree with. It's just like, no, it is that is true. And it's like, wait, no, it's not actually, that's their experience. So I think having that awareness, I would think is important as a baseline, because in this program, you get out of it what you put in. I think that's probably true of most. And so if you haven't done the emotional, mental work, or whatever it's called, to kind of be able to put yourself out there and make that investment in yourself, which is in itself a thing, took me a long time. I think, you might not see results because you're not actually putting in that much.
Yeah. So I think what you're saying is like you got to the point where you actually saw yourself as worthy of investing in.
Yeah. I mean, I think the only justification I can really say of why I hadn't made a big investment in myself before, even though I started my business years ago, was because I didn't believe it would pay off, right? Like, why else wouldn't you do that?
Right.
Like, it was too big a risk. And yeah, all of a sudden I was kind of like, wait, why, if I wouldn't believe in me and invest in me, why would anyone else really?
Yeah. And it is an implementation container. So you're right. Like, you do have to show up and take action. And we show up, my team and I show up in a way that we're leading and modeling what it looks like to show up in your business. And so sometimes people do struggle just with that. So that's a fair point.
Yeah.
If there's somebody who is on the fence, maybe they're in that, like we were talking about, that Chinese finger trap or whatever it's called, where it's like, I need to make the money, but she can help me make the money. What would you say to them?
Yeah, I think you said it once, like, well, I was maybe talking to you before I signed on, where you said, like, totally get it, and being in that place where it's like, you can't afford to do it, but you can't afford not to. And that like struck me. It was like, yeah, that's exactly how I feel. But I think I would tell someone to think of, like, again, this comes down to like being able to see your value and make an investment in it. But like, I would think about like school and how much money, like insane amounts of money, sure that like, for whatever reason, it was worth all of that, which, jury's out if I actually needed to do that.
With you.
But like, yeah, just that, okay, if you're willing to invest that much for someone to say that it's going to benefit you career-wise versus someone you actually, I just kind of gut instinct was like, yeah, this is what I need. So I tell someone to DM you on Instagram, or continue to check out the podcast. I listened to a lot of them before I was like, hit that point, whether it was whatever reason, it was that day or not.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would just say to like reach out, talk to you. Like I said,
I'm not scary. I don't bite.
No, you're so helpful. You literally on our free call gave me, super impactful business advice that I could have implemented without moving forward and have had, it was a very impactful call. And like I mentioned earlier, I think like you gave me some options for where I was at. And so I would just say reach out because there's probably something in some capacity, even if it's like not the full on right away, where someone can get started. And
just get started.
Just get started. Seriously, just do it.
Thank you, Sarah, for coming on and having this conversation and being honest and transparent. If you are somebody who is into small spaces, tiny homes, where can they find you?
SUKKHA interiordesign.com. And I'm also on Instagram at Suka Interior Design.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tara.
If you found this podcast valuable, help us develop more bold leaders in the world by sharing this episode with your friends, colleagues, and other bold leaders. Also, if you haven't done so already, please leave a review. I consider reviews like podcast currency, and it's the one thing you can do to help us out here at the Bold Leadership Revolution HQ. We would be so grateful for it. Special thanks goes to Stacey Harris from Uncommonly More, who is the producer and editor of this podcast. Go check them out for all your digital marketing and content creation needs. Be sure to tune into the next episode to help you embrace your ambition and leave the grind behind.